She broke up with me while live streaming, not quietly, not in private, not with any ounce of dignity. Her phone was propped up against the salt shaker, the comments rolling so fast you could barely read them. And somewhere between, "This drink is fire," and "OMG, your hair looks so good today," Mary looked at me and said with a smirk, "We're done, babe. You're not really built for this lifestyle anyway." People watching thought it was a joke. I did too, for about 3 seconds. Then I saw it, the flicker in her eyes. The kind that told me this wasn't for me, it was for them. The audience, the numbers, the clout. I didn't say anything. I just sat there. The waiter brought over our appetizers. She adjusted the angle to make sure her drink caught the sunset behind her, completely ignoring the silence sitting across from her. "That's the problem with you, Matthew," she added, laughing like she hadn't just ended a 3-year relationship, in front of 20,000 strangers. "You don't know how to perform. Perform." That's what it had always been about, hadn't it? The carefully curated couple photos, the candid date nights where I had to reshoot my smile 4 times, until it was symmetrical. The way she'd whisper, "Fix your face," before we went live, and I did. Every time. Because I thought love was compromise, but she thought love was leverage. I stood up mid-live stream, placed my napkin on the table, and said nothing. No scene. No argument, just silence. The comments exploded. "OMG, what just happened? Wait, is this for real? Was that her BF? LMAO girl, you savage." She let me walk away because at that moment she didn't lose me. She gained 50K views, but here's the thing about chasing clout. It burns out, fast. And 3 weeks later, when Lynn, yes, that Lynn, called me honey on her live stream and smiled in that effortless way that makes the internet collapse into emojis, Mary cried. Not because she loved me, but because I was never supposed to be the one people clapped for. My name is Matthew. 3 years ago, I fell in love with a girl who lived on her phone more than in the real world, and I stayed. Mary wasn't loud the first time I met her. In fact, she was quiet, reserved, sipping a vanilla cold brew alone on the patio of a coffee shop downtown, scrolling through photos she had just taken of herself from 3 different angles. She looked up once, caught me sketching in my notebook, and asked if I could draw her. Not because she thought I was any good, but because she said, "It might look cool in my story if I'm being drawn by some artist while drinking coffee. Very Paris, you know?" I didn't laugh. I just flipped the page and started. 2 hours later, she posted a time-lapse of the process. We had our first date a week later. Mary had a kind of beauty that demanded cameras. Light loved her, filters, adored her. Every time she blinked, it looked like a photo shoot. She liked being adored. I didn't mind watching. In the beginning, she asked me to be in her videos, silly couple trends, casual Q&As, travel vlogs. At first, I declined. Then she said, "Matthew, it makes me look more relatable if you're there too. People love couples. It's just branding." Branding. So I smiled, shot the angles, learned her poses, held the ring light. I told myself that supporting her dreams was part of love, and when her subscriber count passed 300K, I even celebrated with her. Bought balloons, cooked dinner, let her go live as I stayed out of frame. I was always out of frame. She never liked me posting my own work, not because she didn't respect it. She just didn't want me building a name she couldn't control. She said it with a laugh once. "If you blow up, who'll help me with all the edits?" We fought sometimes, but not loud fights. She was too polished for messy scenes. She'd just say, "You're being too sensitive," and move to another room while replying to comments like nothing happened. I was the calm one, the reliable one, the placeholder. And the more people followed her, the less room I had in her life. She started pulling away about 6 months ago, said I didn't match her aesthetic anymore, that I wasn't ambitious enough, that I didn't understand social relevance. Her words, not mine. She never said it outright, but I knew. I was a supporting character in her story. The guy who held the phone while she danced, the one who picked up the takeout because she was too known to go out barefaced, the one who took 27 photos so she could pick one to post. I remember once we were out at a rooftop dinner. The view behind her was perfect. Sunset over the skyline, golden hour magic. She posed. I clicked. A waiter walked by and offered to take a picture of both of us. Mary smiled politely and said, "Oh no, I'm good. It's just me tonight." That was the moment something cracked in me. Not broke, just cracked. A quiet splinter that would later become silence. And yet, I stayed. Because when you love someone, truly love them, you keep hoping they'll turn around. You keep thinking maybe they're just overwhelmed. Maybe they'll look up from the screen and remember that you're the one who stayed up late editing her pitch deck for brand sponsors. That you're the one who skipped your own art gallery preview because she asked you to film her dance routine again, but this time with better lighting. Mary used to call me her calm. She said I grounded her. Then she said I bored her. She broke up with me over brunch, live on a platform where her audience would flood the comments with, "You're too pretty to be sad," and "You deserve better." They didn't know me. They didn't need to. To them, I was just a name mentioned in passing, an accessory that had expired. When she ended it on camera, she leaned into the breakup like it was a product launch. She wore her best outfit, did her hair soft and loose like she knew the algorithm preferred, and made sure her nails were done. She even ordered an aesthetic drink to toast with after she said, "We've decided to go our separate ways." Except we hadn't decided anything. She had. And she had done it for a reaction. I gave her none. I stood up, left a tip, and walked away. She laughed awkwardly at the silence and said, "Wow, he's really not used to being off camera." Her fans applauded her strength. They called me weak, disposable, boring. But what they didn't know, what Mary didn't know, was that I had already received an invitation. A quiet message in my inbox from a certain singer. The one Mary idolized, the one who followed my photography page last week after I tagged her in a post, the one who messaged, "I love your eye for light, we should talk sometime." Her name was Lynn. And while Mary was counting likes, Lynn was watching light. Real light. The kind that doesn't need a filter. The message came while I was standing in front of an art print at the Soho Collective, a gallery tucked behind a bookstore most influencers never bothered with. I'd gone alone, camera bag slung over my shoulder, trying to remind myself what it felt like to be seen for something that didn't involve someone else's spotlight. Lynn's message simply said, "Still in New York? I'm shooting a behind-the-scenes visual tomorrow. Need someone who understands movement and restraint. You in?" Movement and restraint. Two things I knew too well. I said yes. Not because I wanted to make Mary jealous. I had no plans of mentioning it to her at all. But I said yes because someone finally asked me to show up as me, not her boyfriend, not her cameraman, not the quiet placeholder who edited in the background. Just me. The shoot was different. Lynn didn't rush. She didn't perform. She moved slowly, intentionally, like she was aware of every camera click and didn't need to do anything extra to deserve the lens. At one point, she was standing near a window, soft light painting across her collarbone, and she looked at me, not the camera. "You don't talk much," she said, "but I like how still your energy is." I wasn't used to compliments like that, not ones that didn't feel performative. So I just nodded. She smiled. "You know, Mary used to comment on my stuff. Back in the day, before I blew up, told me I was trying too hard to be edgy. Funny how that works out. I didn't react. I didn't need to." Lynn wasn't saying it out of malice. She was just stating a fact, something real in a world built on fabrication. The photo I took of her became her new banner image. She tagged me, then reposted it on her story, added one word, "honey," not a caption, not a nickname. Just a soft, sugary echo that somehow landed harder than any breakup line ever could. Mary saw it. Of course she did. My phone rang twice that night. I didn't answer. The third time I picked up. "Matthew," she said, voice low, quiet, like she hadn't forgotten me in front of her audience 3 weeks ago. "Can we talk?" I waited. Let the silence stretch. She continued, I saw the post with Lynn. Did you go to LA to meet her? No, I said. I was invited. That pause was everything. She wasn't expecting that. You've never cared about networking or fame or any of that, she said. Why now? Because for the first time, I answered. Someone wanted me for what I actually do, not for what I can hold for them, or carry, or fix in editing. Her breathing changed. She was about to say something petty. I could feel it. But she hesitated. Are you two together? No. Another pause. But I think she sees me. Mary scoffed under her breath. You sound different, like you're trying to be someone you're not. That made me smile. No, Mary, I sound like someone you never bothered to get to know. I heard a sound like she was setting something. Down, maybe her phone, maybe her ego. I didn't mean to hurt you, she finally said. It wasn't supposed to be real. The livestream breakup. I thought we needed drama, that people cared more when it felt raw. You used me, I said, not angrily, just truthfully. And now you're upset because I didn't stay where you left me. There was silence. She hung up. 2 days later, she posted a Q&A on her channel. One of the questions read, Do you regret anything about your last relationship? She paused, looked into the camera and said, Some people aren't meant to be seen by the world, and some people can't handle being with someone who is. It was her final attempt to make it about her, and for the first time I didn't care. Because that morning, Lynn had messaged again. Hey honey, your shots from the rooftop got picked, for the magazine. You good to do a follow-up? And I said yes, because I was ready to keep walking in the light that had nothing to do with Mary's camera. I didn't feel triumphant, not even close. When Lynn's message came through again, and the gallery confirmed my photos for publication, all I felt was stillness. Not joy, not pride, just quiet. The kind that comes after a storm you didn't realize had been raging for years. I sat by the window that night, watching the sky soften into violet. My phone buzzed every few minutes. Notifications, reposts, congratulatory texts from names I barely remembered. People who never messaged before suddenly wanted to meet for coffee, talk collaborations, invite me to things. But the one person I once hoped would say, I'm proud of you, had already said too much of everything else. I stared at Mary's profile once. Just once. Her page looked unchanged on the surface. Same filters, same makeup tutorials, same forced laughter with her roommates on camera. But her eyes were different. That sparkle she always bragged about. The main character energy she used to chase in every lens. It looked flat, like a mirror with no reflection. I remembered a night from almost a year ago. She'd had a brand deal fall through, one she was counting on. She'd spent 2 days filming the campaign, even flown to another city for the aesthetics. When they pulled out, she smashed a glass in the sink and curled up on the kitchen floor. I didn't say anything. I just sat with her, held her hand while she sobbed and whispered, What if I'm nothing without the camera? I told her she was more than likes. She didn't believe me, and maybe that's why I stayed so long. Because deep down, I thought if I just stayed quiet and steady long enough, she'd finally stop needing an audience to feel real. But that was never going to happen. Now, as I looked at her carefully curated feed, I didn't feel hate. I didn't feel love either. I just felt tired. Tired of pretending that being overlooked was noble. Tired of acting like silence was strength when in reality it had just made me invisible. I stood up from the window, walked to the drawer where I used to keep the little things she left behind, a bracelet, a love note, one of her old lipstick tubes I never threw away for some reason. I took them out, one by one, held them, let them go, dropped each piece into a paper bag, folded the top, and left it outside with the recycling, because they were just things. Objects soaked in memories I didn't need anymore. That night, I dreamed of the rooftop again. Not the one from Mary's parties, the one from Lynn's shoot, She had danced barefoot on the gravel while the wind whipped through her hair. She didn't care how she looked. She didn't ask to review the shots. She didn't stage it. She just moved, and I followed with my camera, not because I was told to, but because something about her felt like freedom. I woke up before sunrise. My chest was tight, not with grief, but with a strange kind of ache. The ache that comes when you realize you've spent years pouring yourself into someone who never once turned around to see if you were running dry. Mary had drained me. And I let her. That was the hardest part to admit, not what she did, but what I allowed. I opened my gallery page and looked at the most recent posts. The rooftop set, the river sequence, the soft morning shots from my solo trip to Portland that I never told anyone about. They were all mine, not filtered through her approval, not watermarked with her brand, just mine. The world had finally seen me. But more importantly, I had finally seen me, and that scared me more than anything, because it meant I couldn't go back. Not to silence, not to begging, not to waiting outside dressing rooms holding shopping bags while she flirted with her followers. I was done being quiet for someone who only heard applause. Later that day, Lynn called. She didn't text. She called. "Hey," she said, voice bright. "I was going to ask if you're free next month. I've got this shoot planned, near the coast. Very raw, very natural light. I want your eyes on it." I said yes before I even processed it. She laughed. "That's what I like about you. You don't hesitate anymore." I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. "I think I'm learning how to stop second-guessing myself." She paused. "You okay?" I hesitated. Then I said the truest thing I'd said in weeks. "I think I'm still hurting. But not because I miss her. Just because I stayed too long in a place that never saw me." Lynn didn't try to fix it. Didn't offer pity. She just said, "Healing's not linear, but clarity helps." And suddenly, everything felt still again. Not numb, not broken. Just still, in the way a painting dries after a storm of color. I didn't expect the second twist to come from a screen recording. It showed up in my inbox anonymously, no caption, no context, just a file. I almost deleted it, but something about the name privatestoryleak.mp4 made me tap. It was Mary, in someone's dimly lit kitchen, holding a glass of wine, laughing with a group of people I didn't recognize. One of them said, "So wait, you really dumped him live?" Mary grinned. "Yeah, it was kind of perfect, right? Everyone loved it, and it boosted engagement like crazy." Laughter. Clinking glasses. Then another voice. "Weren't you worried? He'd blow up or something." "He was kind of talented." Mary shrugged. "Please, Matthew, he's quiet. People like that never go anywhere. They just settle." A pause. She sipped her wine. "And anyway, it's not like he can compete with someone like Earl." That name landed in my chest like a dull hammer. Earl. She used to mention him in passing. A brand consultant, someone who got her and understood how media worked. I remembered seeing his comments under her posts, witty, polished, full of inside jokes. He was never a threat. Until now, I replayed the clip, not to torture myself, to make sure I wasn't imagining it. The way her voice softened on Earl's name, the way she dismissed me like a placeholder, like a stepping stone to a version of herself she thought she deserved. That hurt. Not because she moved on, but because even in private, I was still just a footnote to her story, someone she edited out of the picture. I didn't respond to the video. I didn't forward it. I didn't post it anywhere, but it stayed with me. Later that week, I attended a gallery dinner celebrating the rooftop set. Lynn was there, of course, elegant. As always, a halo of calm energy around her. As we talked, someone approached me. A tall, sharp-dressed man with a perfect smile and slick confidence. He extended his hand. "Matthew, right? I've heard a lot about you." "Earl." The air thinned. I didn't shake his hand. He didn't seem to mind. I didn't realize, I said slowly, that consultants attended art gallery events. He smirked. Oh, I'm not here for the art, I'm here for support. He glanced toward Lynn, who was across the room talking to a curator, and then back at me. But I'm always watching rising talent. It was meant to rattle me. It didn't. Not fully. Just enough to remind me that even now, I was still being measured. He leaned in slightly. She regrets it, you know. I didn't reply. She told me, he continued, that she never thought you'd actually become something. That pause again. That heavy, deliberate pause. I told her she miscalculated. I stared at him. Then I smiled. Good thing her opinion doesn't mean anything anymore. He laughed, too casually, and walked off like we were old friends. But I stood there, heart beating faster than I wanted it to. Because the twist wasn't that Mary had moved on. The twist was that she hadn't. She was still watching, still calculating, still feeding the illusion that she held some kind of power over my story, and she had sent Earl, not to fix things, but to remind me. I was done, being reminded. The moment came without warning. No build-up, no dramatic music in the background, no storm overhead. Just a message request at midnight. Mary. I know you hate me, but you don't know everything. I stared at it, thumb hovering over the screen. I should have deleted it. I should have blocked her months ago, but curiosity, the worst kind of gravity, pulled me in. Mary. Can we meet? Just once. Not for the camera, just as people. There was a time I would have dropped everything to see her. Now I hesitated, for almost an hour before replying. Me 1 hour, neutral place, no audience. We met the next evening at a public conservatory. Quiet, dimly lit. The only people around were security guards and a few tourists killing time before closing. She showed up late, of course, but when I saw her, I froze. She wasn't camera ready. No lashes, no filters, no outfits that screamed for attention, just a beige coat, hair pulled back, a tired face, and something new in her eyes, something brittle. She sat down on the bench across from me. For a long time, neither of us said a word. Then she exhaled. I wasn't supposed to care, she said. You were supposed to be a phase. I didn't move, didn't respond. She kept talking. 3 years ago, I wanted attention, from anyone. You were stable, boring, but sweet. You let me be the center of everything and never asked for a spotlight. I thought that was safe. I thought I was in control. I waited. But then you started growing, quietly, without me. You were getting recognition. And when I realized people respected you, not because of me, but in spite of me, I panicked. She laughed softly, bitterly. That livestream breakup wasn't spontaneous. I planned it. Earl helped me write the lines. I thought if I controlled how we ended, I could control the narrative. I felt my fingers curl slightly in my lap. I thought if I broke you, you'd crawl back. And I could be the girl who forgave you on camera. You'd say sorry. Everyone would cheer. And I'd win. She looked up. But you didn't come back. You didn't say anything. You just vanished. And when Lynn posted that first photo with you, God, Matthew, I thought I was going to be sick. Her voice broke for a second, and she blinked quickly, trying to recover. I lost followers. I lost brand deals. But worse, I lost control. I kept thinking, he's supposed to be mine. He doesn't know how to be without me. I leaned forward, voice steady. Except I did. She went silent. I was already without you, Mary. For a long time. I just hadn't admitted it yet. She swallowed hard, eyes glassy now. I know. I know that now. I shook my head, not in anger, but in clarity. You didn't love me. You loved the idea of owning someone who wouldn't leave. She tried to argue. That's not... You used me, I interrupted. And when I stopped being useful, you tried to turn me into content. And when that failed, you tried to ruin the idea of me. She covered her mouth with her hand. Her breathing was uneven. I just wanted to matter. That made me pause, because buried under all her selfishness and cruelty, I finally saw it. She was still just that scared girl on the kitchen floor, terrified the world would stop looking if she didn't scream loud enough. "I don't hate you, Mary," I said, "but I don't admire you either." She looked up slowly. "I think the saddest part is you could have had it all. The love, the peace, the legacy. But you wanted clout more than connection, and that's what you're left with." She laughed again, but it wasn't real. "It's also ironic. You became everything I wanted to be, by being exactly who I told you not to be." "I didn't become anything," I said quietly. "I just stopped hiding." She reached into her bag and pulled something out. A velvet box? "I bought this before your last birthday. I never gave it to you because I forgot. I only remembered after you left." I opened it. A necklace. Minimalist. Understated. It was the one I'd once shown her online. The one designed by a photographer I admired, meant to represent balance in relationships. "It doesn't matter anymore," I said, closing the box. "I know." She tucked it back into her coat. "I just needed to say it. To your face." I stood up. She didn't follow. As I turned to leave, she called out softly, "Do you ever think about what we could have been?" I stopped, but didn't turn around. "I used to," I said, "until I realized you only loved me when I stayed small. And I can't be small anymore." And I walked away. That was the real moment. Not when she cried. Not when she confessed. Not when she handed over the necklace. It was the second I realized she couldn't break me anymore. Not because I'd hardened, but because I'd healed. Pain didn't echo inside me like it used to. Now it just passed through, like wind through open windows. And as I stepped outside the conservatory, I pulled my phone from my pocket. "Lynn, still up for the coast shoot next week?" Me. "Absolutely. Let's make something real." 3 weeks passed. The coast was quiet, wind-tousled, and wide open like a blank page. We were staying in a small villa near the cliffside, rented out just for the shoot. Lynn wanted light, movement, imperfection. Nothing glossy, nothing staged. She said the sea reminded her of starting over. I understood that feeling. Every morning, I woke before sunrise, camera in hand, watching the horizon yawn open with colors too soft for filters. There was no noise out here. No fake comments, no metrics, no spotlight, just breath, tide, and the clean space to finally be. Lynn didn't push. She worked with quiet confidence, laughed without worrying who was watching, and never once told me how to shoot her. "You already know," she said simply. "That's why you're here." By the third morning, the air between us had shifted. Not romantic, not yet. But something deeper, respect that had grown roots. A mutual understanding of what it meant to be seen and not used. On the last day of shooting, we sat side by side on the villa balcony, sipping coffee as the clouds pulled apart over the ocean. She looked at me, thoughtful. "You don't talk about her much." I didn't answer immediately. Then I said, "There's not much left to say." Lynn nodded. "Do you regret it?" "No," I said, without hesitation. "If I hadn't gone through all of it, I wouldn't know the value of peace, or what it feels like to finally own your own story." She smiled. "You're different from most people I meet." "You mean quiet?" "I mean real." That word landed heavier than she knew. We returned to the city the next evening. On the flight back, my inbox pinged with a brand offer, something unexpected and ironic. The very brand that once dropped Mary after her image started slipping was now offering me a collaboration. They had seen the coastal shoot. Their offer was generous, their terms were clean, and their campaign idea? A short-form documentary titled Quiet Strength. They wanted me to direct it. They wanted Lynn to be the face, and they wanted to feature my artwork as the visual arc of her story. I stared at the screen for a long time, then slowly smiled. It was the kind of full-circle moment you couldn't plan. It wasn't loud revenge. It was subtle, Elegant. Undeniable. But it wasn't over yet, because the brand's lead content director, Earl's former colleague, had reached out personally. Email subject, confidential note regarding former partner. For your awareness, it was an internal leak. A screenshot of Mary pitching herself back to the same brand using my name. Would love to explore a redemption arc, she wrote. The internet loves second chances. Maybe I could tell my side of the breakup. Maybe we could even show a face-to-face? I blinked, then laughed. Because even now she was still trying to monetize me. She couldn't stand that her follower count had plateaued while mine rose quietly in a field she never respected. The director's note beneath the forwarded message said, "We've decided to pass. It's clear who has the real narrative now." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. But I kept the screenshot, because part of healing is remembering. Not to reopen the wound, but to honor how far you've walked past it. 3 days after I signed the deal, I received another message. Not from Mary, from Earl, a single line. Don't get too comfortable. Everyone falls eventually. I stared at it, debating whether to block him or reply. In the end, I did neither. I forwarded it, along with the screenshot of Mary's failed pitch, to the brand's legal team. Just a quiet, formal message for transparency and protection. Moving forward, I'd prefer to keep my name away from anyone who deals in manipulation. I got a reply an hour later. Understood. We've decided to include your personal artist note at the end of the campaign. Your voice deserves to be heard. And when the final video launched, it wasn't just a visual of Lynn against crashing waves. It was narrated by me. My words, my voice, speaking softly over frames of movement and freedom. Some people will never understand the quiet ones. They think silence means weakness. They forget that storms begin in silence, that waves build quietly before they break. And when they do, they leave nothing standing that wasn't meant to stay. It went viral in under 48 hours, not because it was loud, but because it was true, raw, uncompromising. And for the first time, Mary's name wasn't mentioned. She wasn't a reference point. She was just forgotten. That was the real ending. Not the confrontation, not the apology, not the necklace. It was this. The moment I became someone she could no longer exploit. The moment I became someone she couldn't touch. I changed my number, moved into a small loft closer to the gallery district, started hosting workshops for young photographers who felt invisible. Lynn and I worked together on 3 more campaigns. She never called me boyfriend, but when she introduced me, she always said, "This is Matthew, the one who made me look like art." One night, after a gallery premiere, we walked under streetlights. Quiet again. She nudged my arm. "You good?" I nodded, then looked at her. "I think I'm finally free." And just like that, I was.